Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. Man, you'll see. It's not easy being me. You'll see that, though. Did you see Itchy Boots? It ain't easy being her either. Gee whiz. How many police escorts has she had in the, Pakistan? Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable. And her and I, we both have the exact same problem. Everywhere I go to eat, they always insist on giving me the food for free. She hasn't paid for a meal since she's been there, I don't think. Every time she stops at a place to get something to eat, they won't take her money. It happens to me all the time. I'm sure it happens to you too. It's crazy. And then on top of that, after she was riding for 11 and a half hours or 11 hours, they wouldn't let her stay at the motel she had booked. She had to stay at a different hotel. It's like, what's up with that? I have a feeling they get a kickback on that other hotel where they make them stay. They make all the tourists stay at this other hotel so that they get a kickback. That's what I bet. I don't know. It could be anything. Maybe they get spy cameras in those hotels. Who knows? I have no idea. But where we left off yesterday was I had to make that little part for the Bobcat. And I decided that I was just going to make it like a plug, just to screw it in there and tighten it down. And I feel like that should have worked. Well, I did get that done. Here's how it went, though. Yesterday afternoon, after we were done with the vlog, I went back down to the shop, and my next step on that part was to cut the threads. Well, like I told you, it'd been a while since I've done that, and so I wanted to, that's why I had the manual out, making sure I was setting it up right, because you have to change gears, you have to do all kinds of stuff. And so I got it all set up, and I tested it, and sure enough, it was cutting them just right. Well, that machine's real finicky on cutting threads, and it's hard to explain, but there's this what they call a thread dial that spins, and you're supposed to engage a lever when this thing spins to a certain spot. You're supposed to engage the lever. Well, on that machine, that certain spot is about an 1/8-inch diameter circle, a little bead, which is really dumb to begin with. And then all these little numbers are scrolling past there. Well, that big diameter bead is bigger than the notches in those numbers. And so it's hard to get it exactly on the right spot. Instead of having a little pointer come up to that dial that's spinning, where if they had a little pointer right there where you could see specifically. Well, anyway, if you get it off just a hair, you screwed your threads up. Well, guess what? I got it off just a hair and screwed my threads up. So I had to start over. So that was how the first one went. I totally ruined it, and it wasn't salvageable. So I started over from scratch. Got the threads cut on the second one just fine, no problem at all. In fact, they looked perfect. So I thought, well, I was measuring with micrometers and stuff, trying to make sure I had it to the right size. And the size was just a guess. I have no idea. There's no way to really measure what size I needed to make it. I just thought the old one was loose in there, and I thought I need to make it bigger and make it fit tighter. So I just guessed it about 8 thousandths bigger. So it's just what I guessed. Well, that turned out to be a pretty good guess because I screwed it in, and sure enough, it was snug fit. It wasn't overly tight. It was just a good snug fit. So I thought, well, that's good. It's going to hold, So then I took the whole thing out of the lathe and did that. I screwed it in. Well, now I've still got that extra stock attached to it, so I have to saw that off. So I took it over to the saw, and I've done this, lots of times, dozens upon dozens of times of sawing a piece off of the stock, and they just saw off and they fall and they hit the ground right there in the shop and everything's cool. Except this time. I saw through that sucker and it took off like a missile. That little part, it's about this big. It took off like a missile, and it went, what I could see, it went at a catty corner from me. It went about 15 feet in the air, headed toward something on top of the workbench. And I thought, wow. So I thought, well, I know generally which way it went. Well, I get over there and I start moving stuff around, and I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. I'm looking for 15 minutes and I can't find it. So I've decided, well, the only way to find it is to clean up the shop in that general area, clean up the workbench, and, you know, and just one item at a time and clean it up, and finally I'll find it. Well, at least an hour later, it might have been an hour and a half later, I don't know, I didn't keep track. I've got everything cleaned off and I still haven't found it. So I'm over there looking around with a flashlight and all kinds of things, trying to look down in cracks and crevices and all kinds of different things. Sure enough, I found it. It had not only had it gone the way I thought, but then it must have bounced off of that and took almost like a 45 to the left, and it landed between the motor on my metal lathe. It landed between the motor and the frame of the metal lathe, back on the back side of the metal lathe, which I can't see on the back side of it, because I'm on this side of it. And it's on the back side of the metal lathe, down in a crack between the motor and the metal lathe. I had to get a magnet just to get it out of there, but I got it. So by this time, it's after 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'm thinking, it's too late after I sawed it off, I needed to cut a hexagon shape on the end of it so I'd have a way to put a wrench on it, so to tighten it down. So I thought, forget that, I'll cut that this morning. So I got out there early this morning and I cut the hexagon head on that little part, and that went fine. Everything went perfect on that, and I screwed it in place, and that went fine. So I tell you all that to set up the video, because the video just starts cold of me cutting the hex head on that bolt. So here you go. Here's the video. Hope you like it. I think I've got this set up to mill a hex on the end of this so that we can put a wrench on it or whatever. And I say I think because I don't know. I think it's going to work. I don't do a lot of this. This is the first time I've really done this in a very, very long time. And I'm just going to do this more or less by trial and error, believe it or not. That looks like that'll work. I'm just lining it up at the front edge of this vise. And we'll just see how it goes.
A drifter is only a poet with wings. He moves but he can't learn to fly. Running in footsteps ahead of his time, with no one to hear if he cries. With memories of your sweet love on the vine, I thumb my way south in the rain, thinking of bridges I've burned.
Alright, I don't know if that's going to work out to a nominal size or not. It's right in between 7/16 and 3/8. Gonna have to take it down a little bit. So I'll do some measuring and I'll figure it out. Okay, I use my dial indicator to move this down 20 thousandths of an inch. This should make it the right size for a 3/8 wrench. Hopefully a little tight on the 3/8 wrench. That's what I was shooting for. So let's see if it worked.
In my life, each bridge causes somebody pain, but yesterday's apples are gone from the tree. Sour grapes are gone from the vine. Tomorrow a new life is starting for you, while nothing is changing in mine. A drifter is only a poet with wings. He moves but he can't learn to fly.
Let me clean it up and we'll see how it went. Well, my friends, there's the part completely finished. It just acts as a plug. Here is the original part. The threads on this one are just, a few thousandths bigger, which should make it work better. This here is just was just to get a hole in that. I don't think I could be wrong, but I think this is going to work just fine. All I really need is a plug. I just need something to hold the pressure in. If this holds the pressure in, we're good to go. If not, we'll back to the drawing board. Okay, got it fitted in here. Will it go in this hole and start? It started before, so I'm hoping it'll start this time. Seems like it's going. I'm glad I made it as big as I did, because it still feels a hair loose. I'm gonna call that good right there. I feel like that's gonna work. Okay, I'm gonna assume that that's fixed. I'm gonna put grease back in here. And you should see this rise. There, it's starting to move, barely a little bit. There it goes. That's pretty good now. It's pretty tight now. And I don't see any grease coming back out the hole. So I think we're good to go. I'm going to clean this up just to make sure that we can monitor it and make sure we don't see more grease sneaking out there. So I'll clean all that up. But otherwise, I think we have a successful fix. This don't look good. That shouldn't be exposed like that. These are aftermarket tracks. They've been on here a couple of years, but they may not last much longer based on the looks of that. Of course, that might have happened when that track came off too. That might have been what happened. I don't like the looks of it though. Doggone it anyway. Well, my friends, I think the track fix worked just fine. In other words, that pin that we made worked just great. This is a minor detail. It's not even hardly worth worrying about. A lot of guys would not do anything about this. First of all, this handle's broken and I don't like that. This orange thing is just a safety device, and the orange thing functions perfectly. There's no problem with that. In other words, you take this off and you put it over here on this cylinder. And when you raise this arm all the way up, in order to keep the arm from falling, in case you're working underneath it, you put this in here, and it just blocks it so that this can't fall down. Well, the problem is, like I said, this handle's busted, and this one's okay, but this one's broke off. So there's no handle on this side, plus this bolt is broke off. So I don't know if I can fix this or not, but I'm going to make an attempt. Okay, and analyzing it further, there's a bolt that goes all the way through this. It was just an extra long bolt. So I'm just going to take it out, and I'll have to get a wrench to hold the bottom. So this may not be as big a deal as I thought it would be. So in effect, all I need is a longer bolt, and then I'll need 2 new handles. So let me see if I can find a bolt like this. Well, my friends, we might be in luck. I found a bolt. This one's really rusty, but I cleaned it up. I chased the threads with a tap, or with a die, I should say. And it looks like it's going to go on there. And she's tight. And then if we had another handle, we'd have a way to put it on there, see? So now I guess I'll go online, see if I can find me a couple of these handles. And then we'll be back in business when we're back in business. So just one more little minor project knocked out this morning. It just don't quit. I thought I was done, you know, I got the knobs on order. And I see this here, and I thought, was that water? Because it had rained last night and everything's dripping with water. This is all water, but that's diesel fuel. And I'm looking underneath here, and sadly there is a leak. I don't know where it's coming from. See if I can get this open with one hand. Probably not. The leak is coming from down in here. This is a fuel line here, and the leak, I don't know if you can see it, but right down in there, there's a wet spot. And when I look under here, every once in a while I see a little drip coming. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but right there is where the drip is coming from. In fact, if we watch long enough, that little drip will fall off of there. So obviously we got a problem, and obviously it's in the worst place, like always. Just about 99 times out of 100, whenever I have a problem, it's like in the most impossible place to get to. And I guess that's because if it was obvious, I would have already fixed it. You know, if it's an easy place to get to, I would have seen it and fixed it. But this is not easy by any stretch. I don't think it's this line leaking, but it might be. I mean, I don't know. Might have rubbed through, something like that. That goes back to the gas tank. That's the line that gets clogged every so often in the tank. It actually gets clogged, I think, in the tank. I guess I'll take it in the shop again and see if there's anything I can do to get into it. I don't want to do it out here in the mud. Well, for the uninitiated, I thought I'd give you a glimpse of how this works. There's a bolt here, a nut here and a nut here, or a bolt, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, you take those apart there, and then this lifts up like that. Gives you clear access. If you believe that, I got all kinds of ground down in Florida I want to sell you. Take a look at this. There ain't no room in there at all. Where's the gas tank? Everybody says just take the, clean the gas tank out, and then you'll fix your problem. Show me where that is. That's the engine back there. It's pitiful. This filler hose goes in and goes down, and then I don't know where it goes. It looks like it goes that way, maybe. There's nothing simple about working on one of these things. I just thought maybe I'd get lucky and see where the leak's coming from. Sure I will. Sure I will. Well, here's like literally, you lose the tank. I don't even know where the tank is. I guess that's it down there, I guess. It's just hard to figure. The filler hose goes way back there somewhere. The engine is behind this thing. This is like the hydrostatic pump or control or something. I don't know what you call it, but it's got nothing to do with the hydraulics. And there's no chance of even getting close to a tank, and definitely no chance of seeing what's causing the leak. I don't know what to do.
Now do you see the dilemma?
I mean, it's next to impossible. I mean, it's like next to impossible. It's not impossible. Obviously, they built it, so it's not impossible, but it's right next to it. So I thought, well, I'm going to watch some YouTube videos. I'm going to search on fuel leak T300, Bobcat T300 fuel leak, So that's what I searched on. The very first one I found, he had a similar problem, and he pulled the engine out. That's the first thing he did, was pull the engine out. Yeah, that's easy. There's nothing to that. I mean, like nothing. There's only about 100 wires that have to be disconnected, probably 20 hoses that have to be disconnected, and, belts, and that's just not even a good option at all. So I kept searching. Fortunately, I kept searching because I found a guy. You're going to think I'm making this up, but I'm not making it up. I found a guy with a purple wig, and his hair, it was one of these moppy looking wigs. I mean, it's purple hair coming, and I say purple, it could be blue, I don't know, but it ain't natural, I can tell you that. I don't know what color it is for sure, but it looked purple to me. Anyway, I almost turned it right off just because I thought, oh my God, I got a quack here, you know. But the guy was serious, and I'm glad I watched him because he said, now I don't know for sure, but you know I've had the problem, and we talked about this before, where the fuel starvation problem, and where the tank gets, something clogs up the tube that goes in the tank. I can't think of what you call that right now, filler tube or something. Anyway, something clogs that tube up, and so it sucks that bulb down dry. Well, he's describing that exactly what happens on his, and it's exactly what's happening on mine. So I'm going, at least he knows what he's talking about. You could tell he knew what he was talking about. He says, so I tried to figure out a way to get to that darn tank without pulling the engine. He says, because pulling that engine that's a ridiculous thing to have to do just to fix a problem with a fuel line, And so he's actually saying these things. That's what he's saying in the video. So I'm thinking, well, I'm right there with you, buddy. Purple hair and all. I think I may go get me a wig. But anyway, he says, and I haven't gone down to confirm this yet, but he says that on what would be the passenger side of, if it was a car, the passenger side of the Bobcat, the back, you saw where I was working on that orange safety device. Well, to the left end of that, and even back a little bit further, just about where the filler tube is on the tank, and maybe even a little past that yet, just back in the back end there on the left, he said there's a panel that you can remove. He says you still can't see nothing. You can't see what you got to do, but you can reach in with your left hand. He says you can't do it with your right hand. You have to do it with your left hand. You can reach in down in there, and you can feel where the tube goes into the tank. So anyway, he even had the part numbers and parts and everything, and he pulled it right out of the tank, and he bought new parts and put it on there. And so anyway, whether or not that may not help me at all in terms of my leak. I don't know. It might be exactly what I need. It's really hard to say. But the fact that there's a panel there, assuming there is a panel there, because I haven't gone down to verify yet, but he was on a T300 just like mine. So he seemed to know what he's talking about, so I'm assuming there is a panel there that you can remove. And anyway, I'm going to find that panel. I'm going to take my snake, that viewing scope thing with the snake I have, and I'm going to go down in there and see what's down in there. At least I think I should be able to see it with that viewing scope, endoscope, or whatever you call that thing. And hopefully I can see what it is. Now, if I can get to that with my left hand reaching down in there and I can jerk that sucker out of the tank, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a much longer hose on that sucker, and I'm going to go around there's all kinds of room on the when you're looking at the back of the machine to the right of the engine, there's all kinds of room to route a fuel line. Why they had to go under the dang engine and then come back up, I have no idea. It's the dumbest decision I would have ever seen. But if they'd have ran it around the engine, well, then you could fix it, Anyway, that's the dilemma. I have no idea, but I'm glad the guy with the purple hair was on there, because at least he gave me hope that maybe I have a fix here without having to pull the engine. He says he called Bobcat, he called all kinds of people. Nobody would tell him how to get into that thing, and I guess he just got lucky and found that panel, because I don't know how he found the panel. Let's go to the comments. Well, it's just, did you ever hear it's not easy being me? And everything is a hammer, by the way. Let's see. In fact, by the way, there was I didn't show it in the video. I cut the video short because it was getting too long. But anyway, there was right where that thing was leaking. I showed you where you could see down in that hole. Well, right around that hole, there's this panel about this big, and it's got one bolt in it. So I'm thinking, well, if you pull that bolt, that panel will come out of there, and then maybe you can have a little bit more access to the fuel line and see what's going on in there, maybe. Well, I took the one bolt out, which was in so stupid tight, I had to put a pipe on the end of the wrench to loosen the bolt, and it was crazy tight. So then I'm thinking, and then I pried up the little panel, and I thought, well, I can pull that panel out now. No, it wouldn't come out. So I went over and got my slide hammer that I just bought from Harbor Freight a month ago or whatever. And it's a big heavy duty slide hammer. And if you don't know what that is, it's a weight that slides on a bar. And anyway, when it hits the end of this, it's like a hammer, and it's jerking like this. So like that bar has a hook on the end of it, or it's got several attachments. But I put a hook on the end of it. I hooked it onto that panel, and then I slid hard like this, trying to pull that panel out. It didn't move at all. I have no idea why they have that panel in there and had that one bolt in it. I can't see that it does anything at all. It's like it would be a cover is what it looks like, but it don't come out, and there's no other bolts that are visible. There may be something back under the engine, but anyway, I couldn't get that out, so therefore I couldn't get any access that way. So it's not easy being me. David Tharp, howdy everybody. The National Weather Service just published instructions on how to bake lasagna in your mailbox. Cool. I might get that. Well, I don't like lasagna. Could I maybe make pancakes? Let's see. Gino Hitch. Hi, Jerry and friends. Got a VA appointment at 3 o'clock, so I'll have to miss the vlog today. Good luck and stay cool, everyone. Well, good luck to you. Dottie's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. And she mentions the kidney stones in her prayer there. And, I've been thinking about that a lot. And, I told you what the doctor said. He, after doing that urine analysis or whatever you call that thing, see, everybody thinks of these problems in terms of the normal person. And rightly so, because 99.9% of the world is normal, in terms of human physiology. But when you happen to be that 1/10 of 1% that only eats about 5 things, literally that's all I eat. I mean, I eat meat, I eat bread, but I'm not eating bread anymore because I'm trying to lose weight. And so I eat nuts, I eat corn, rice, and potatoes. Well, at least 2 of those things they're asking me to cut out of my diet to avoid the kidney stones. I mean, if you were a normal eater and you could eat all the other stuff, cutting out 2 things wouldn't be no big deal. But when you cut out 2 out of 5, you just cut out 40% of what you eat. It's like, so I'm just eating. I'm just not even going to worry about it because I don't know what else to do. I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy to be a taster, where you can taste chlorophyll. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. It's not a pleasant experience, especially in this world where everything revolves around food. I mean, like all your business luncheons and your business meetings, and everybody's got food catered in, and you're the one oddball out that says, "Oh, no, thank you, I'm not hungry," because you can't eat it. It's crazy. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, for some reason, I had to fight again today to leave a chat. Well, I'll make it 99% of you mad if I said what I was thinking. I was going to say, you must be on an Apple machine. I tell you, I can't get along with Apple products. I really can't. I supported both of them when I was in Yellow Pages for a while. I told you that they moved the headquarters down to Texas. Well, I wasn't going to go, and they were firing everybody that didn't go. They didn't fire me. They actually found me a job, but it was a flunky job fixing PCs and Apples, So anyway, I was working for Yellow Pages, and I had to fix, just tons of machines all the time, just tons of them, and both kinds, Macintosh or PCs. And I could get along with the PCs, no problem. I mean, they were more complicated in the sense, especially at the beginning where you were using them, the PCs were more complicated to use than the Macs were. They were an easier machine to use. But the Macs were way more complicated on their, their hardware and stuff. And like, everything had to be just exactly right. I mean, everything had to be perfect. You had to have the same version of the software with the same version of the hardware and the same this and that and this and that and this and that. And if you had all those ducks lined up perfect, then it would work. If you had one duck out of the row, it wouldn't work at all. And so it was just a real pain. Where, like on the PC, things were interchangeable. You could, if you have a network card out of one machine, you could put it in a different machine. It'd be just fine. You could not do that with a Mac, at least not then. I don't know if it's changed, but so that's why I was making that joking remark that, if you must be on an Apple machine, because they're a pain in the neck, man. They always were. Anyway, Bill Rhodes then says, do you all remember the song by Tennessee Ernie Ford called Precious Lord, Think You Could Do That Song? I remember Tennessee Ernie Ford, but not very much. I mean, like, I remember 16 Tons, I think is all I remember from him, but Precious Lord. I'll look at it and see. I got to write it down or I'll forget it. That's a long name. Anyway, let's see. Moving on down. And Bill Rhodes. I skipped one there. Ronald Todd says, good afternoon from the West Banks. And let's see, Bill Rhodes says, oh, by the way, thank you, Daddy, for your prayers. They are greatly appreciated. Cool. Still moving on down here, trying to find. Bill Webb says, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. And still mainly looking for question marks. After we went live, David Tharp says, for his birthday, I took my grandson to an orchard where we stood and stared at the trees for a half hour, evidently not the Apple Watch he was expecting. Oh. I can't even think of a smart aleck comment to come back with on that one. Let's see, Christy Ledger and Victor. They said I read this one during the video. It says, just to let you know, Victor and I watch your channel every night. Thumbs up to you. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Tell Victor hello if he's not already on here. And ask him if he knows anything about fixing a fuel leak on a Bobcat without pulling the engine. Let's see. Dottie says, hit the like button. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps the channel, and that's for sure. Gary Hayes, hello, fellow members of the Rosa String Works. Hi to you, Jerry. Well, hello back. Hugh O'Connor, given the size of your roof, wouldn't your wooden solar panels be a good idea, given, well, it would be, except for this house. They set it up in this valley. It's a side valley. The sun goes like this, and we're in this side valley, and the sun doesn't hardly, I mean, it hits the roof for a few hours a day, but you'd spend a whole lot of money to put solar panels up there for just a few hours a day. So anyway, that might be why it's easy to cool this house too, because it doesn't get as much sun as a lot of roofs do, even as big as the roof is. And it's over on that far end, you probably could get sun most of the day, I guess. Let's see. But Dottie Hildebrand, what is the name of the song that was played while you were cutting the hex? That is called Poet with Wings. A drifter is only a poet with wings. He moves, but he can't learn to fly. I haven't done that song for years and years. A friend of mine, Josh Poor, a dobro player, he and I would always do that tune when we were down in Arkansas. He hasn't gone down to Arkansas in probably 10 or 12 years. It's been a long time since he was down there. Wavy Gravy, the slogan on your shirt reminds me that everything is also a puppy toy. Yeah, that's probably true too. It scrolled on me. Now I got to find it. I found it. David Tharp, I remember when climate change was called summer, fall, winter, and spring. Yeah, me too. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, do you have any thread gauges? Well, Bill, when you ask that question, it makes me wonder which kind of thing you're talking about. There are gauges that are called go and no-go gauges. I don't have any of those, but I have thread count gauges, if you will, and for putting you put it in the bolt thread and it'll tell you how many threads per inch it is. I've got all those kinds of gauges, and I've got I got pretty much a full tap and die set. And then I have this other thing that's on like a cable, one for metric and one for SAE, and it has every bolt and thread combination. It's that you can screw a bolt into to find out what the thread is on it, and the size. It not only tells you the thread, but it tells you the size. So I have things like that, but I don't have any go or no-go gauges, which is, when you say thread gauges, that makes me think of that, which is the go and no-go. But just in case that was prompted by what I was doing there by making those threads slightly oversized, a go and no-go gauge wouldn't help me on what I had to make there, because they just tell you the standard sizes. And what I had to do was make it bigger than standard on purpose. And it worked. I'm glad it worked. I mean, I just guessed that it would. Didn't know that it would for sure. It was just the next option I had would be to drill the hole out to the next larger bolt and thread size, and then tap it, and then make a plug for that. So, I did have one more option after this if it didn't work, but I'm glad it worked, because it's better to do that than have to drill that darn hole out even bigger and then potentially have a bigger problem down the road, Let's see. Bill Rhodes, by the way, Jerry, the question I asked you yesterday, did you cross past was the book on beads and speeds? Question I asked you, so did you cross past was the book on beads and speeds? I think that's supposed to be feeds and speeds, maybe. Are you talking about on the threading on the machine? Well, I pretty much understand how all that works. I was just looking at the book again just to make sure I didn't forget something, because it had been years since I'd done it. But anyway, it's the lathe is pretty well capable of setting all that stuff up, and it gives you guidelines on how to do all that. There's a chart on the side of the lathe that kind of tells you what to set everything at. Let's see. Speeds and feeds. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant there. Instead of, I realize that you're probably talking into your phone and it doesn't pick up the words right. That's the way it works on my phone too. Gary Hayes, I would like to know the name of that song. Yeah, it is called Poet with Wings. And thank you for the compliment. Poet with Wings is a good song. I heard it from, I don't know who I heard it from. I first started to say I heard it from Tony Rice, but I kind of think it was the Bluegrass Album Band. I think it was Bluegrass Album Bands where I heard it. Donnie Hildebrand, only 45 likes. There are 150 watching. Well, get after it, guys. Hit that like button. David Tharp, I made a model of Mount Rushmore. My friend asked, is it to scale? I said, no, it's to look at. Oh. Let's see. Sidecar Bob, why do people insist on saying passenger side and driver's side instead of left or right? Well, it's simply because people get confused on left and right, because it depends on which end of that you're looking at, or if you're sitting in the driver's seat. And I know that most of the time it's always considered from the driver's seat. But it's just as easy to say passenger side as it is to say right side. Let's see. GNP Old Marine Shop. Hi, Jerry. We used to use a borescope to inspect turbine engine blades, so I think that's what your camera technical name. Yeah, borescope, or some people call them endoscopes, and all I know is it's something that I can see down in there with. I hope that works. Dottie, you don't like lasagna? There's no vegetables in it. Tomatoes are a fruit. Yeah, well, tomatoes have way too much taste for me. Now, I like ketchup, but I think the only reason I like ketchup is because it's got so much sugar in it. Ketchup is the only thing that gets close to a tomato for me. That's it. I can't eat anything beyond that. Everything else is just way too much flavor for me. Like I said, the things I'm not making it up when I tell you. It's way easier to tell you what I eat than what I don't eat, because I don't eat hardly anything compared to what I do eat. I mean, I only eat meat, potatoes, corn, rice, nuts, cheese, eggs, things like that, poultry and meat, and that's about it. I mean, I'll eat fish occasionally, but like about once a year. But I can eat fish. I can eat, and I like chicken, and, I like pretty much any kind of meat for the most part. But in terms of plants, the only thing I eat is what I told you. And that's it. I mean, I don't eat anything else, period. Nothing. That's why it's when you take just those 5 or 6 things that I eat and you cut out 2 of them, that's a pretty big percentage of your diet, It's like I can't cut them out. I mean, I appreciate knowing that's what's causing the problem, but it's just going to have to cause a problem. Sidecar Bob, Pete, the left and right of a vehicle is always referenced from the operator's normal position. Yeah, I agree with that. But it's just, you're talking to you're not talking to all mechanical people here and stuff. So we got men, women, boys, girls, kids, anybody could be listening. So if you just say on the passenger side, everybody pretty much understands that. GNP Old Marine Shop, did you ever see a gauge block set for inspection? They would stick together like glue because of precision of the fit. Yes, definitely. I don't have any of those, but I know what you're talking about. They call it ringing together, where you just stick, they're just 2 flat metal surfaces. That's all they are. But they're so precisionally ground that when you put them together, you give them a slight twist like that, and they'll stick. They stick like a magnet. They're not magnetic, but they stick like it's a magnet, and they hold together. That's just because they're so precision ground. If you haven't seen that, it is kind of amazing, but it's true. It's the way it works. Wavy gravy. Jerry, now that you've recovered from your tractor accident, you might be interested in a book coming out next month. It's entitled A Complete Guide for the Head Trauma Hobbyist. Yeah, except for the fact that it's in a book. If it's in a video, I'll watch it, but I don't read books. Yeah, I've in my whole life, I've had to read a lot of technical manuals because of the systems and things that I worked on. But other than that, I hardly read anything. And the reason is it just takes me forever to read it. See, GNP Marine Shop, Jerry, no White Castles? Are you kidding me? And that was my mom and dad, and I'm not saying it just because you brought this comment up. My mom and dad loved White Castle. They loved them. We couldn't go buy a White Castle without them stopping in and getting. And that was probably to this day, that is the worst thing I ever ate in my whole life. And they forced me to eat them. They made me eat them, and I would throw up after eating them. I'd throw up 10 minutes after eating them, and it wasn't anything I could control. Like I told you, and you probably think I'm exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. It's just the way it is. One time, I ate I get a McDonald's hamburger. I have to have them, make them plain. And one time, I accidentally ingested one piece of an onion. I couldn't sleep all night. All I could taste was that dang onion, and it was such a strong taste. It'd be like akin to you drinking, an ounce of gas and going, that's good stuff. I like it. You can't do it. It's something your body will not accept. And that's the way it is with things like that. There's nothing you can do about it. You might not believe it. You might not think there's no way it could be that bad. I'm telling you, it's that bad. Trinian, my 7th grandkid, got it. And they knew exactly they knew exactly he was born with it because he was exactly like me. It's not, it's like when he's an infant, he's already spitting out everything you put in his mouth. Everything. Except for a few bland things like potatoes, corn, or corn, but milk, things like that. Bland food you can eat. If it's not bland, it don't go down these pipes at all. Let's see. Sidecar Bob. The driver's side is on the right in the UK. Well, yeah, I agree with you there. You got me on a technicality. Let's see. Dottie Hildebrandt. Let's see. GNP Marine Shop. You have to get them to steam them. I don't know what that means. David Tharp. I've been doing a whole lot of mechanical work lately, like putting a 1948 rear end in a 2015 recliner. Well, that's pretty good. I might do that myself. I didn't sleep all that great last night. I probably need to catch up on a little sleep myself. Yeah, I'm going to turn my phone off if I try. Definitely going to turn it off. Bill Mumbo, Sidecar Bob, you mean in the UK it's on the correct side. Yeah, well, I'm not going to get in that argument. But people in UK are always on me saying, you do know that 99% of the world uses the metric system, and well, I'll say this to the UK guys. You do know that 99% of the world drives on the, right side of the highway instead of on the left side of the highway. You know what I mean? We drive in. Whatever. I'm done. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. I will see you tomorrow with something else. Hopefully some good news that I was able to get into that fuel tank. without pulling the engine. But honestly, right now, the only option I see, until I go down there and find this secret panel that he's telling me about, the only option I see right now is I have to pull the engine to fix it. Like I said, the first video I watched, that's what they did. They pulled the engine. Crazy, man. It's just nuts to make something where you'd have to pull an engine to fix a fuel line. That just doesn't make sense. Okay, y'all take care. We'll see you tomorrow.